It's a hole. Like literally, it's an old mining town with just a giant hole in the ground, and the mine is all like dried up, and so there really is nothing in Butte, Montana. Just a few houses left. But as you're driving through, there's this huge cliff, and on top of the cliff is a giant statue of the Virgin Mary. And Mary looks over the city of Butte. And actually, if you were to be standing on Mary's head, she looks right down the center of Broadway, which is the street in Butte where all the bars are. And so you hear stories about people stumbling out and looking up and being really convicted because the Virgin Mary is staring at them. But I was driving through Butte, and I saw this statue just standing on the edge of this huge cliff. And I just thought, I'm going to climb up there and check out the Virgin Mary. And so I pull off, I find a campground, and this is September, and so campgrounds in late September aren't super popular, so you kind of have to look a little bit harder. And I found a campground, I pitched my tent, I spent the night, and then first thing, early in the morning, I got up, and I went to this little visitor center. And because I didn't know, like, how do you get there? I'm like, I want to go climb that. Where do I go? So I walk into the visitor center, and there's this little old lady standing behind the counter, and she's humming to herself. And I walked in, and I said hi, and she said, "Oh, good morning," and started to hand me information about the city of Butte, as if there's anything to do in the city of Butte. And I explained to her that I wanted to go climb up to the top of that mountain. And I said, "So how do I get there?" And she's like, "Well, you get in your car and you get back on I-90 and you go, and the next exit after this one, you pull over and there's a gravel road. There'll be a gate that's down, and so you can't go any further than the gate. But if you park, you can walk, and it's about 8 miles switchback to the top." Yay. And I said, "No, I don't think you understand." I said, "I want to go like that way." And I just pointed to the top, and she says, "Oh, well, there's no trails that go up that way." And so I said, "Well, can you get me to the bottom of," and her eyes got big, as if nobody had ever done that before. Now, I know there's teenagers in Butte who do that all the time. This little old lady just doesn't know them. And so she actually gave me directions to this convalescent home. And I'm not exactly sure what a convalescent home is. I have some ideas, but that's what she called it. And so, and then she gave me these 2 huge cinnamon rolls with cream cheese frosting from Perkins. She says, "I think you're going to need these." And I said, "I think you're right." So she wrapped those up for me, and she made me sign my name and my address and everything. And she says, "Now when you come down, you come back so I know you're safe." And I said, "Okay." And so I grabbed my cinnamon rolls, I stuck them in my backpack, I grabbed a bottle of water from a gas station, and I went to the convalescent home and got out of my truck, and I just started to walk. And I walked up this huge hill, and I'm like, I gotta be close, I gotta be close. I get to the top of that hill, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, there it is. But I gotta go all the way down to the bottom, and so I'm going, and then I get to the cliff, and I just start to kind of climb up. And I try to limit the number of stupid things that I do in my life. And usually when I'm climbing, I have ropes, and I have protection, and I have a harness, and I have a friend. I just have 2 cinnamon rolls and a bottle of water. And but I wasn't really thinking about it much. I was just going up and up and up. And finally I realized, man, this is getting kind of steep. And I turned around, and I was so high off the ground, and it was like straight down and straight up. And this is one of 2 stupid times that I've had climbing. The other was with my brother in Washington State after we visited some bat cave.
That's cool.
We're wading through some river, and then there's like a waterfall, so we had to like climb up the wall cliff, and that was another time where I think we both almost slipped to our death. But here I am, and I'm thinking, this is a good time to spend with Jesus. So I found like this little cliff that was just big enough for my butt, and I sat down and I hung my legs kind of over the edge, and I had this Bible, and I can just kind of stick this. I love this Bible because I can kind of stick it in my back pocket. It doesn't love me anymore because now I need glasses to be able to read it. But I started just reading through the Psalms. I thought this is a great time to just get some inspiration from the Lord. calm my nerves a little bit. I shouldn't have looked down. I love to climb, but I am a little sketched out by heights. And so just realized, well, maybe I should just spend some time with the Lord. So I figure, well, I'll start with Psalm 1 because they're all pretty short and I can just kind of go through. And just started to read through the Psalms. And I got to Psalm chapter 5. And I read a verse that I'm sure I'd read before because I've read through the Psalms before. But as I read through Psalm chapter 5, I came to a verse. And this verse really, when I began to just kind of let it sink in, I just read this verse and I stopped. And I wrote a big exclamation mark after this verse. And I just kind of kept reading it and kept reading it. And it's super simple. And when I read it to you, you might say, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But this verse revolutionized one part of my relationship with Jesus that has changed everything else in my life. It has helped me to understand more every day that this is a life worth living. And I was just missing it. There was so much that I was missing because this verse wasn't a reality for me. So I want to read this verse to you, and then I want to just real quickly break down some of the things that I pulled out of this, and the one thing that really revolutionized my life. This is Psalms chapter 5, and it's verse 3. And it says this: "In the morning, O Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning I lay my request before you, and I wait in expectation." That's it. In the morning, O Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning I lay my request before you, and I wait in expectation.